After slavery was abolished in 1865, many black Americans still experienced racism.
They were considered to be incapable of taking care of themselves, much less being able to have responsibilities that required intellectual use.
Because of this, most African Americans still worked menial jobs, such as laboring in fields and mills.
However, in 1862, during the Civil War, the Lincoln administration gave African Americans the right to join the United States military, although they were typically not used in combat situations. It wasn't until the spring of 1941 that black Americans were allowed to enlist for technical training, where they were formally trained in the art of war.
On July 19, 1941, the Tuskegee Airmen Flight Training Program was added to Tuskegee University in Alabama as an experiment to test if African Americans were capable to fly aircrafts. This was called the Tuskegee Experiment.
This experiment was created in order to support the idea that African Americans had smaller brains than white Americans.
However, the experiment was largely successful and it trained over 1,000 licensed black American pilots, many of which were used in World War II.
World War II began on September 1st, 1939, and was caused by the political takeover of Germany by the Nazi Party, led by Hitler. Later, in 1941, Japan allied with the Nazi Party when Japan tried to take over part of China in order to support their growing country.
The U.S. attempted to stop Japan from taking over parts of Asia, so, in retaliation, on December 7, 1941, Japan bombed Pearl Harbor and destroyed 8 of America's battleships.
The U.S. had planned to remain neutral in World War II, but when Japan attacked Pearl Harbor, they had no choice but to declare war on the Empire of Japan.
There were 3 different methods of fighting during the war: sea warfare, land warfare, and air warfare. The Tuskegee Airmen became relevant because of their air warfare.
Even though the Tuskegee Airmen were founded in 1941, they weren't in on the war until 1942.
And Mobile, Alabama. Well, I was drafted in the military, period, and then from there I was required to work on the aircraft that I was assigned in a squadron, which was the B-17. The Tuskegee Airmen was trained to protect the bombers in Europe. Anybody that left the bombers unprotected, they would be dealt with when they got back home. Different things, and at that time, they wasn't required to stay with the bombers, but that was one of the things that they wanted to know, that if they didn't stay with the bombers and protect them over the pocket in Berlin, they would be dealt with when they got back home. So there are a number of things that needed to be dealt with, and it couldn't be dealt with unless the whole target was required to stay with the whole bombers and protect them from fighter pilots of the Germans, and it did a good job of doing that. Our crews contributed very much so as far as the concern of the outcome guarding against the fighter pilots of Germany. And there was full support and protection of all fighter pilots over the target, because they were told to stay with your bombers and protect them when you were on a mission to do that. I was just a ground crew member, which was to keep them polite as far as I could in my participation. We just had to work our way through most of this. Some of the things that was going on then, 50 years ago, are still going on, so we just have to try to work our way through whatever is happening now.